What's up? What's up? Happy Sunday. Today is February 2nd. It is 8:10 p.m. here in Arizona. What a beautiful night. That's all I could say. Red as far as the eye could see. Check this out real quick. What's up? What's up? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You guys didn't think I was going to miss today's live Sunday stock talk with markets dropping to the wazoo. Did you? We got BTC hitting lows of 91,300. Not too shabby. I mean, I'm not going to say we called it, but we didn't not call it in today's video, right? When Bitcoin was trading at 96,000, we talked about the previous support that it has at 90,000. And markets aren't even open yet. So we've had a whole conversation within our LPP Discord chat. We have a handful of traders already taking profits, playing it safe. For those MSTR bag holders, what taking profits means is that you're up on your position and you close out the trade, actually making the money that you were up. So if it turns against you, you don't give it back. It's a crazy concept. It was invented years ago. I know MSTR bag holders are a little new to that. But again, hopefully you guys will do your part in learning when it makes sense. So what's up? What's up? I'm going to say what's up to a few people that are tuning on in live. If you guys are tuning on in for the first time, feel free to say what's up in the live chat. You do have to be subscribed to the YouTube channel to partake in the live chat. So just a little heads up. Would you ever consider going long on MSTR because it's so oversold? 100%. I don't discriminate. I'm here to make money. I've talked about it many times. I will go long, I will go short. My focus is the trade opportunity. Just like when MSTR is trading at $400 per share, no one in their right mind would want to buy, like why would anyone want to buy MSTR at $400 per share when you can see that it's an obvious resistance? Now that it's back to lows of 300, I'm going to see how the market plays out. That's the conversation that I've been having with our LPP traders. And it's like, so much has already happened. Like a lot of you guys know that I don't carry short positions overnight. So unfortunately, I didn't make any money as, right? MSTR sold off, but that's okay, right? Because I also don't expose myself to an uncontrollable amount of risk if MSTR were to skyrocket. But we have to understand when the move has kind of been made already, and that might be the case. And that's why I wanted to go live. A lot of people, I mean, I'm going to talk my crap. Like, I hope you know I am, right? But in a more respectful way than I feel like people think I would, because I think some of you guys might just assume that I'd be like, oh, I told you. No. Obviously, you know, everyone had two options. You could continue to hold, you can continue or short MSTR. And, you know, you decided your outcome and obviously you pay the price for it. But we also have to respect what's kind of presenting itself now. MSTR is a little bit more on the oversold side. It does have a history of finding its support range here, and we have to be self-aware of that, right? I have this conversation with my LPP team all the time. I love to use MSTR back holders as an example of, hey, let's not fall in the same bad habit as them and not take profits by being greedy, right? We need to know that we're never going to play the trade perfectly. Our entries, our exits are never going to be perfect. But if we can get in and get out and make money, especially with such a big move. At one point, MSTR today was at lows of $293 per share. Talk about a beautiful setup, right? Gosh, it's like so beautiful because if you really think about it, markets, this sentiment, kind of like last week. I mean, this kind of happened last week on Monday, but the news was the DeepSeek news. Not as detrimental to the overall market, the stock market. In my opinion, just my opinion, this is a little bit more significant. The way that this affects the overall market, the overall economy. It's not super crazy to me. I mean, it's not really a surprise. Trump has been talking about these tariffs all the time. It was crazy to me on why the market was pushing up so aggressively in the first place. But hey, I guess I was fear mongering, right? Because I was talking about, hey, markets are overbought, and yet he has yet to implement these tariffs. And then now all of a sudden people are surprised that markets are pulling on back. It's kind of like common sense, right? When When a bunch of idiots are telling you, no, you need to buy at all-time highs, it's like, well, okay, let me do the opposite of what they're doing. Take profits, stay cash, wait for those retracements to happen. And we have a handful of people that are part of LPP that will not short. They view it to be too risky, and I love that. There's so many different ways to make money in this market. Just because I do something doesn't mean that you need to. But because they stayed cash, now the markets have pulled back so much that they can take advantage of. Did you guys see this? Nvidia is down to lows of 112 per share. Remember, you guys said that it was never going to break below 110, 100 or 120, 115. Again, you can never predict these pullbacks because the market always overreacts. And it's so amazing. This could be a really significant dip buy opportunity. So I know a lot of you guys are coming on here and you guys thought that all I was going to do is markets are going to crash. They need to go lower. All that stuff. No, not at all. I want to be level-headed about this. Like, I want to see how the market reacts tomorrow with all of you guys that are part of our LPP team. I want to see if selling pressure continues into the open or if markets have sold off so much already that all they do is begin to recover. That's what I'm very excited about because there's still so much money to be made. If markets do recover, we can go long with the bulls. I'm not against that. You think I'm against making money? Heck no. But I'm going to take profits, right? That's, I think, the biggest difference is people think that you can't play both sides. Definitely, as long as it meets your criteria, market sentiment is in your favor, and risk to reward ratios are met. That's all I want to focus on. And if I get that tomorrow to go long, I'll do it in tomorrow's live trading session. Shoot, you might even see me go long on MSTR. Just saying. But if selling pressure continues, if we see that market sentiment is still incredibly bearish, if we see the VIX index continue to skyrocket, showing that there's incredible fear and volatility injected into the market and sentiment is still bearish, then yes, I'm going to stay the course and I'm going to short the living life out of MSTR. Isn't that so exciting? Like, is it just me that like, and I guess a handful of our LPP traders are just bouncing on our chairs right now because there's so much opportunity. I mean, I can literally buy now NVIDIA if I want to at $113 and go long. If I think that this is a good dip buy opportunity, this is huge, right? I can buy the dip on Tesla because if I think it's super cheap at what, $385 per share. Microsoft is down 2.1%, nothing too crazy. SQQQ. I think there was one of you guys that asked, Slim Lewis says, SQQ time, could SQ reach 60 by April? That's a little bit of a stretch. We don't know how significant this sell-off is. And again, you guys know that I like being bearish, right? Especially with these overinflated markets. But we have to understand that the markets often do tend to correct themselves very quickly. We'll see. We'll see tomorrow. I can't predict the future. Neither can you, nor can I, right? But one thing we can always do is prepare. Hey, if this time NASDAQ does continue to sell off, right? It's now trading down here. This is a common support range. Let's respect that. It could bounce here. Let's respect that. But if we break below that support range and sell-in pressure continues and market sentiment continues to get worse and we see lower lows, lower highs, everyone's selling, panic is being injected, heck yeah, let's short the living life out of NASDAQ. Let's go into SQQQ as a day trade if it makes sense. Not something that I would care to carry over a long period of time as it's a triple leverage inverse ETF, but nonetheless, you get the point. Wait for the conviction to present itself. Right now, it is, and it possibly can be, just an overreaction. And I know a lot of you guys would be surprised, or you probably didn't want to click on this video. Maybe you have a long-term position. Maybe you're down on your position. I'm not. Like, I have nothing against you. I don't even have an open short position right now. Like, right, you guys know that I don't carry them overnight. I like to focus on opportunity. And I always like to talk about both sides. But it's hard to talk about wanting to go long when market's so overbought and overvalued. But now that we've retraced a little bit, hey, for a day trade, I might want to consider going long if market sentiment begins to recover. It is that simple. I just want it to make sense, okay? So I'm up on SQQQ. I love that. There's a handful of you guys that were asking me, how do I buy or sell on overnight hours? If you guys don't have Weeble or didn't know, Weeble now allows you to buy and sell shares right now. They don't allow you to short, but if you're in the US, you can actually buy and sell right now. I think it started at like 6 p.m. Arizona time. If you haven't updated your Weeble on your desktop or mobile, you're gonna have to do that first. So close out the app completely. So you're gonna have to like hold it down here and then click quit. And then once you click quit, it completely shuts it down. Bring it back up, and then it's gonna ask you to do a software update if you haven't done it. Once you do, it's gonna have this little toggle here, and it's gonna say night instead of just EXT. So this night one should show, turn it on. Once you have that, when you it's only with a limit order, but then you're able to use overnight trading hours. So now I can buy and sell on Weeble. I want to remind you, I use Weeble. Weeble is FDIC insured. They do offer commission-free trading, and now they offer overnight trading. Do you have to use it? No, but if you want to, the 5th link in the description down below will give you up to 20 free shares just for signing up and having an initial deposit of $5. So if you're thinking of trying it out, if you like these new features, the 5th link in the description down below, sign up for Weeble. And again, you will have access to these overnight trading sessions as well. So if you have any questions beyond that, I mean, you can Google search it, or I guess you could message me if you really can't figure out your answer. But there it goes. Look at that. Huge recovery on MSTR. Again, I can't say that I'm surprised, right? This is why, if you're part of LPP, we made that announcement of, hey, maybe it's not the worst idea to lock in profits and play it safe. So let's see what we got going on here. Yeah, BTC beginning to show some signs of a potential support. This is Ricky's wet dream. Oh my. That's the part that like cracks. How many of you guys, all right, I want to see a show of hands. How many of you guys, when you saw that Bitcoin was dropping and that markets were down, how many of you guys were like, dang, Ricky's having a heyday? Like Ricky's gonna like, is that what heyday means? Like Ricky's like gonna like really look forward to market open on Monday. Like I know that people's, like I am happy to see the markets pull back, but dude, I wish the market did this during normal trading hours because I don't carry positions overnight. So it's like I'm kind of happy, but I'm kind of like sitting on my hands, if you know what I mean. So I wouldn't be against if markets do recover. I can go long with them for a little bit, but for them to become overbought enough for me to be able to take a short, as long as it could all happen during normal trading hours. You guys know that I love having fun with you guys. You guys know that I love trading in front of you guys, but the biggest thing that I always try to preach, always, especially for our beginners, is risk management. That is the whole reason why I talked about MSTR at $500 per share. And it's the whole reason that I like to call out overvalued companies when they're being hyped up by everyone else. Is I just like to bring awareness of the downside risk. If I were to tell you, hey, let's play rock, paper, scissors. If you win $10. If you lose $5. Who in their right mind would want to play that? It just wouldn't make sense, right? The risk to reward isn't favorable for you, because the risk is much greater than the reward. And I saw the same setup for MSTR. It's the money was already made. There's so much downside potential. The hype is already peaked. And for Bitcoin, it looks like, it might be too early to tell for Bitcoin, but for Bitcoin, it looks like it's starting to slow down, right? Bitcoin's kind of a crazy one because obviously Bitcoin can skyrocket for no reason. I've never said Bitcoin can't continue to make new highs. I just said that I think that there's more downside potential than there is upside. So I'm happy to see that it retraced. It's testing that $90,000 support. And tomorrow we'll see if we make history, just depending on how many people get margin called, because you know that's going to be a big thing tomorrow. People are going to be down on their positions. Will they have to cover their margin call? And does that mean they have to liquidate their position? This is always the issue with crypto traders, always the same issue. So we'll see. And then MicroStrategy is set to report earnings on the 5th of February. I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. Like, guys, it's going to be a good week. I know I can't be the only one that's looking forward to it, right? Talk MSTR to me. I like that. Michael Saylor tunes into LPP Live every morning. MicroStrategy. That's the part that I remember we kept saying MicroStrategy, right? And making fun of the name. But this is going to be like a macro tragedy. It's going to be a big problem because I think that what's bound to happen with MicroStrategy is a big domino, such as themselves, will cause Bitcoin to come tumbling down much quicker than what was expected. But again, time will tell. We'll see, right? All right. Let's see. Well, what stocks do we want to break down? Do you even think it's worth talking about anything right now? Let's talk about this. Because we don't know if markets are going to continue to sell off or actually begin to recover, right? We can talk about Tesla. We can talk about MSTR, all those things. Let's talk about this because we know one of two things has to happen. So there's no reason to talk about all these different scenarios. Markets are oversold enough that they could just begin to recover. So a simple question to ask that you could ask yourself, and I love having this conversation with beginners. Stop overcomplicating it with all this hyped up stock, all these different stocks. If there was one stock that you can buy at a discount, if markets were to recover, what stock would that be? That's how I would focus for tomorrow. If you see that markets begin to recover, you're going to see everyone else trying to jump into all these hyped up stocks. Just what's a good deal that's presenting itself because of this pullback that you would consider going long on, that you wouldn't mind holding for, a period of time. I think that's a very level-headed way to be able to approach this. For me, it would probably be Nvidia, but I wouldn't buy too much of it just because I'm still uncertain of how DeepSeek is going to actually affect it. But nonetheless, I'm just telling you that would be mine, right? Some of you guys might, Nvidia's mine. Some of you guys, what? You guys are saying PLTR. What's going on with PLTR? PLTR wouldn't be mine, but hey, it might be yours, right? I can't stand PLTR, but I also don't like shorting it because it's so incredibly bullish, right? For all my LPP traders, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see. Hey, can you guys please stop spamming the chat? I'm not going to break down that random stock the more you spam it. I'm just giving, I'll block you on the live chat, please. So I don't see any of these deals at these price points. Markets at 220 times percent GDP. Okay. I like that, Nicholas. Okay, so you think that there's more downside to go. I just don't know if that market sentiment is going to continue. But I do agree with you. It's just obviously the market does what the market wants, right? And we have a very common support range. So that's the only thing that I want to be mindful of. It would be really naive for me to be like, yes, I'm going to open up short here and then markets just recover once again, right? We got to be level-headed. So if we do break support and then continue to sell off, that can be a trigger for me of like, okay, let's, I can now go short on the market as a swing trade because now markets are actively selling off. But at this common support range, we could easily begin to recover, and I just wouldn't be the biggest fan of that. So I wanted to talk about the two hypotheticals. Markets are oversold enough that they might just begin to recover, and at that point, what's that one stock that you might want to buy? The second thing is, what if markets do continue to sell off? A lot of you guys don't have the option of being able to short. Some of you guys shouldn't short because you know that maybe you're not the best at managing risk or taking profits. You guys know yourselves better than I do, right? With that being said, how can you make money as markets continue to sell off if you don't want to short? Please, do your own due diligence. But again, there's the inverse ETF, SQQQ. This is only if markets continue to sell off. This is already up 7.6%. So again, if markets do begin to recover, this will begin to retrace, which wouldn't make sense to buy this. This is just the way to be able to make money. If markets continue to sell off, SQQQ will continue to go up. It's an inverse ETF. And every time that the NASDAQ market drops 1%, SQQQ moves up 3%. Again, this is not an investment vehicle. This is not a ETF that you want to carry for a number of days. We talk about it a little bit in more detail in the LPP lesson library due to path dependencies. Nonetheless, that's getting into it as a very simple setup. It's all about market direction. If markets continue to sell off, you could just buy this and this will go up as NASDAQ drops. There is also, if you prefer the S&P 500, SPXS, which is the inverse ETF for S&P 500. This one is up 6.1%. Again, if markets begin to recover as S&P 500 begins to recover, you're not going to want to buy this at $5 or $6 per share. But if markets continue to sell off, then you could go into this making money as markets continue to sell off. What else? We got AAP. All right. Well, I like the way that you put it in the ticker call out format. I'm a sucker for that. So I'll break it down. Super low volume. I'm not a fan of this. Overnight hours, it's down 4.1%. It does have a nice ascending uptrend pattern, but overall, out of everything that I could possibly buy, this wouldn't be it for me. It doesn't mean that it can't be it for you. It just means that of every opportunity that's currently pulling on back, I don't know why AAP would be the stock that I buy the dip on, especially with incredibly low volume and has a consistent history of making lower lows and lower highs. Well, I actually don't know if you're thinking of shorting it or buying it, so I guess I should have asked that already. What else? All right. So, oh, I didn't know that's Bronx Kid. I didn't know that's why you were asking. I'll look it up for you now. I feel bad. QBTS. Is that it? Okay, so there are some stocks that are not available for trading on overnight hours, and it looks like this one's not it. So there is no overnight hours trading. Maybe it's just not as popular. Nonetheless, it's not actively trading right now. So it just shows after hours of where it was at on Friday. So I do apologize, but there's nothing that pulls up for this. It looks like it was incredibly overbought. So I would imagine that if markets are down, then this one's probably down as well. Okay. Hope that makes sense. And again, I do apologize. I didn't know you didn't have access to this. How would you consider Ford considering the volatility this week? Is Ford expected to report earnings? Ford is down 3.1%. Ford is incredibly oversold. It's down to 976, which is nearly at previous lows. I mean, buying Ford is pretty much just hoping that it just begins to recover. It's obviously not showing any signs of a recovery, but it's approaching previous support range, and it's expected to report earnings on the 5th. Okay, so I see why you're paying attention to it. If you want to take the risk, I don't like buying stocks right before they report earnings. Just because I don't doesn't mean that you don't need to. Again, I don't like surprises like that. I don't like uncontrollable amount of risk. But obviously, I could miss out on a big play. But I'm okay with that. So, I mean, we can look into Ford's financials. It's ticker symbol F, right? So for those that asked me on the previous video, this is Investing Pro. So if you ever want to do a quick little fundamental analysis, they make it super easy. It's the 6th link in the description down below. If you use my link, they actually give you the biggest discount that they offer for Investing Pro. And you can sign up, use it one time. I think it's a monthly subscription. Or if you really like it, you could sign up for that whole year subscription. So just a heads up, and they do offer you the best price if you use my link, which is the 6th link in the description. But Ford Motor Company, again, we could see that they're expected to report earnings on February 5th, 2025. Current PE ratio, 11.4 times their earnings. Not too terrible. Let's see. We could see downside is 3.5% based off of previous patterns. Uncertainty, yep, spread. Analyst targets is $11.68. So it looks like it's somewhat undervalued based off of current market value and what analysts are saying that it should be trading at. But again, this could all change. I say that it has been incredibly bearish. It is on the oversold side. And if I were to buy Ford, I probably wouldn't buy too much of it. I get it that it's cheap, but the cheap can always get cheaper. So I would love to follow up with this one after it reports earnings and see where it's at. Do I want to partake in it if it drops to, $8, $9 per share? Or does it begin to recover and then I can jump in then, right? I would rather be someone that is late to a rally than early to a sell-off. Something that I always like talking about with my LPP team. So Be careful with Ford, definitely, right? You could see with its history, it shows a lot of consolidation, no super clear direction, and if anything, for like the past 6 months, 7 months, all it's been doing is a little bit more on the bear side, trading below that moving average on the day chart. So I'm glad that you brought that up. It's always good to get different people's opinions. Not that you need to trade off of that, of course not, but just to hear different perspectives of it. All right. All right, well, it looks like a handful of you guys are still up, and I'm really happy to see it. I wanted to see how you guys reacted. I love moments like this because although it creates a lot of panic, when you're part of a group and you do it in a controlled way, and just like how I've always tried to preach is stay in cash for opportunities like this, this is why. This is why I talk about risk management. This is why I talk about staying cash, because if markets do begin to recover, for how bearish you guys think I am, I'll buy into the dip. I can buy into Nvidia at $113 per share. I could buy into Tesla at a bigger discount, which I wouldn't buy Tesla right now. I think it's very overvalued. But nonetheless, I can buy into any of these stocks because I waited for this opportunity to present itself. And if markets just recover because I stayed cash and then bought in when the opportunity presented itself, I then now made more money now than I would have if I would have just bought in when all the hype was present. Again, it pays to be patient in this market. Ignore the noise. Focus, tunnel vision, and whatever makes sense to you. It doesn't need to make sense to other people, right? While everyone else is hyping up Bitcoin and MSTR and that it's going to go to the moon, in my opinion, that's when I really begin to ask the question of, hey, this thing's kind of throwing out some red flags. Let's start looking a little bit more into it. And you just do a very quick risk analysis. What's the profit potential? Best case scenario. What's the risk potential? Risk to reward ratios. Okay, it doesn't make sense. Why are people going long on it? And then again, there's a ton of money to be made when hype is present, overvalued, and huge pullback potential. And I know that sometimes I have a very petty way in how I approach MSTR, but I do it because trolls like to troll, and I love to give that energy back, right? And I've been having so much fun with it. If you're part of my LPP live trading sessions, you guys know that it's become a constant theme where even on my Instagram, it's like one of the funniest things that I've been doing, at least for the past month. And I've been making a ton of money while doing so. I trade it all live. I trade it in front of you guys. And in all honesty, I probably make more money shorting SOUN than I do MSTR. But trolling on the MSTR bag holders has just been too much fun. Just because they get so offended, right? Like if I told you something, this is the thing that I love. Like if I told you, hey, you're not going to wake up tomorrow, you'd be like, that's so stupid. Like there's no ground to that. Like you wouldn't even get mad. You'd just be like, dude, whatever. But if I say something about MicroStrategy that you know is possibly true, and it goes against your conviction of it going to $1,000 per share because it pokes holes in the risk behind buying MicroStrategy at $400 per share, and that it could possibly come crashing down if Bitcoin crashes, of course you're going to get offended because you're not taking it into consideration. Being self-aware, understanding risk, acknowledging risk, doesn't mean that you're against something. It just means that you're not being naive, right? And if that bothers you, then maybe this market isn't for you. Because we all know one thing, eventually you will sell, and you're either going to sell for the profit that you earned or you're going to sell for a loss that you also earned. You choose. So I'm super excited to take on the week with you guys. For the handful of new LPP traders that signed up over the weekend, please, please, please make sure that you watch the welcome section of the LPP lesson library, that you get access to the Discord, which is explained in the welcome section, that will explain to you where we post the live trading link in the welcome section of the LPP lesson library. If you're not not yet part of our LPP team, it's the second link in the description down below. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. And again, we do have a discount code there for you, and it breaks it down to $1.35 per day. So it's a very simple question. Is that worth it for you? And if it's not, well, I appreciate you watching our YouTube video. And if it is, I'll see you tomorrow at Market Open for your first live trading session. I appreciate your time. I'm so excited to take on the week with you guys. If we go long or we go short, again, there's so much money to be made. Let's stay patient. Let's stay calculated. But most importantly, let's make sure Let's make sure we control how much money we give back. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team. We'll see you tomorrow.